Love that song. Love that song, man.
All you.
Okay, hello everybody. I am Jason J. Rock Houston, and this is my friend Jason Lee Beckwith from the premier Kiss tribute band, Kissed Alive. He plays the role of Peter Criss. He is a founding member of that band, and this is the premiere episode of The Two Jasons. Obviously, a play on our name. That's something we've always joked about. And we always usually do these interviews. I've interviewed Jason several times over years, and we talk about our mutual love for Kiss, but this is something a little different in that the two Jasons, we can talk about anything we want, much more than just Kiss. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about Van Halen. And one thing I didn't know about you, Jason, is that besides from doing your tribute to Kiss, you also at one point were doing a tribute to Van Halen. And I believe you call it Jason Lee Roth. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, sort of, but not really. I did a couple of shows with a tribute to Van Halen. Actually, you know what? It starts off further back than that. There is a really well-known, at least on the western half of the U.S., Van Halen tribute, and not the one you're thinking of, but the other one you're thinking of. Let's put it that way. And when they were still a backyard band, like doing parties and stuff, just getting it together, I did like a couple of shows with them.
Okay.
Always been a Van Halen fan, always. Yeah. But it was clear that I was never going to look like David Lee Roth, even though I had my hair bleached blonde and shaved all up and stuff. And, they needed somebody that would really fit the bill. I loved it. I could sing the songs. I've got a good baritone and, all that stuff. But, I'm not him. No one's him. And I was just
even Dave doesn't look like Dave these days. He looks more like Dr. Smith from Austin Space.
You know what the song goes? I gotta be me, right? Yeah. So, so that only lasted for a couple of songs. But flash forward to maybe 10 years later, and I was posting some videos or something of me singing some Van Halen with my band or whatever, and someone reached out from a tribute to Sammy Hagar.
Oh, wow.
Era of Van Halen, and said, man, with because by then I was letting my beard grow back in, and you can see, if it's blonde up here, the carpet ain't matte. Well, anyway, so I had dark facial hair, but I had blonde hair, and normally when my hair is down, it's curly. So I had curly blonde hair, and dark goatee. Somebody said in one picture or whatever, he thought I looked like a little like Sammy or whatever. I didn't see it at all. Obviously, no one does. I don't. And he asked me if I wanted to come and sing with this band. I thought it was a terrible idea. I'll be honest with you. I love both eras. I love all of Van Halen. I am a Van Halen band fan. Let me get that straight. I have a lot of songs from the early era have stuck with me because that's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
But I love the other stuff. When 5150 came out in 1986, I was carrying it around with my boombox on my shoulder, So it's all good, right? But I'm not a tenor. And if you can't sing Dreams, you got no business singing that kind of music. So we had to pad the set with half David Lee Roth songs, even though it was geared towards Sammy Hagar fans. It was always real weird. I did like 2 shows with them, and I think their guitar player was just like, nah, I'm not feeling it. And come to find out later, he was turning down bookings.
Oh, wow.
I thought that's what was going on, but I wasn't sure. So I booked us a nice big fat gig at this show at a place called the Galaxy Theater. Now it's called the Observatory in Orange County. But back then it was called the Galaxy Theater. Well, the seats about 1,100.
I remember that,
And I got us on this bill, and I called the guys. And I said, hey, because he was always saying, oh, nothing's coming in. If something comes in, I'll let you know. And so I booked this great big gig for us. And the guy said, no, I don't want to play that. We can't. You shouldn't. I don't want to play that. No, we can't. No. Why? It's a great gig. No, I don't. Really? All right, fine. Then I quit. So I quit the band. Next day, I called up the place and I said, look, I just quit the band. I was singing with them. I'll let you, but since I'm the one that booked the gig, I'll give you their phone number so you don't think I'm trying to bait and switch you, and you can talk to them. I don't think they're going to have a singer in 2 weeks, but I can put my solo band together and we can do all Van Halen. We'll call it Jason Lee and Friends or Jason
Wow.
Lee Does Van Halen or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he says, you know what? Just handle it. I said, all right, fine. So it turned into Jason Lee and Friends. The day after I quit the band, the drummer quit the band.
Wow.
So he came and did the show with me.
How cool is that? Wow.
So you didn't stop me. You didn't stop him. You just stopped yourself. That's fine. That's on you.
Yeah.
We're going to still go to the party and have fun without you. So we did. And there was about 1,100 people. And it was really a lot of fun. If you Google Jason Lee Halen, you could probably see some of the clips.
I found a
I
clip
started
of
off
you
with
doing
a Van Halen shirt from the Whiskey a Go Go,
Yeah.
and in David Lee Roth's era. Then about halfway through, while they're doing a guitar solo, I went and put all red clothes on, right?
Wow,
and came
wow.
out and we did a couple of Sammy tunes, one of the Sammy covers, and we had a great time. So yeah, I wasn't really down for a long period of time with any Van Halen tribute band more than like a song or a show or two.
I mean,
But
yeah.
a lot of fun. Love Van Halen music. Play it to this day, both on drums and some of it. I'm not playing Hot for Teacher.
Yeah.
But I love Van Halen music. Play it all the time.
There you go. Yeah. Playing in the background.
Gotta have it. Gotta have my Halen, dude. Gotta have it.
Yeah, now I know from an interview I did a while back, I think a couple of years back, that you were a big fan of 1984. Wow. Talk about that.
That was a small little guitar. It's a on your little guitars.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was something I bought my kid when he was single digits in age.
Wow.
And I did the tape up job, obviously in a homage to Van Halen 2, sort of, right?
Yeah.
And it was a cool guitar, but it was a cool guitar, man. I gave it to the kid, and it's been broken over the years. Doesn't have a bridge or a strings or anything like that, but it's still there. I still keep it around.
Wow. Yeah, that's neat. And I can't believe
you gotta raise them right.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I was just thinking about this today as we were getting ready to do this. Van Halen is 45 years old. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I mean, just think about that.
Really?
That says how long we've been alive in this and that. And I know you're a big fan of 1984, but before we get into that, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the debut album? I mean, quite different sounding records, but that's the one that did it for everybody.
I tell you what, man, I remember the day I first heard Van Halen. I remember it very clearly. Okay. So I'm a young boy of what it came out in 77, 78, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I was 8 years old. 8, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And it was the middle of, well, for me, I don't know when it was time-wise, but it was in the winter because there was snow all around.
Yeah.
Niagara Falls, New York. Young 8-year-old boy in Niagara Falls, New York. Hanging out with my older brother, and we're sitting in his buddy's car, waiting for the windshield to defrost. So we're listening to his brand new Pioneer car stereo.
Wow.
In his lime green Chevy Nova.
Wow.
Underneath the passenger floor mat was a rust hole that you could see the street below you.
Wow.
Right? Set the scene there. Shout out to Mr. Mike Young. So anyways, we're sitting in this car. I'm in the back seat. My brother is shotgun. His buddy Mike is obviously in the driver's seat. I'm pretty sure that was Mike's car. Anyways, all of a sudden you hear this car horn. And I'm thinking, is there something wrong with the car, man?
Yeah.
Because you'd never heard of a rock and roll record start that way,
Yeah.
Of course, there was all kinds of psychedelic sounds on it, and it's not like they were reinventing the wheel, but it was rad, just came forward. You heard that bump, 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 and I heard Running with the Devil, and that was the very first song I ever heard from Van Halen. It was loud. the windows started fogging up from the inside as they started to defrost from the outside. Where we heard that song, then I guess he wanted to show it to his buddy, which was my older brother. So I came outside and I got to hear it. I got all my Kiss records when that same brother went into the Army.
Oh,
When he was
wow.
18. I got his Kiss records, Air Force or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
his Kiss records. So that's what kickstarted my rock and roll obsession.
Wow, and as far as the debut album, I tell you,
We're sitting in this car. We heard Running with the Devil, into Eruption, into You Really Got Me.
wow.
The trifecta of early Van Halen music. And it was awesome, man. It was awesome. The tone, when you first heard Eruption, ridiculous, man. Ridiculous, dude. He was our Hendrix, without a
Wow.
doubt.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
our Hendrix, and that was my Woodstock moment, dude. Sitting in the
Wow.
back seat of that car, that lime green Chevy Nova with a rust hole down to the street, listening to that, man. Listening to that horn, then the bass, then the plink of the strings on the headstock, I'm assuming, and then or piano strings. I don't know what the hell that was. And then launches into the song, and then you hear Dave for the first time, man. And it's the whole band was a force of nature, and it was basically like the music reached through the screen and
Yeah.
punched you right in the face.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Never happier. It was awesome, and my life was never the same since.
I bet, and my memories of that debut album, probably my two all-time favorite tracks off that got to be Feel Your Love Tonight. I mean, something about, Dave singing the song the way he does. I mean, I got a picture, he's in the backseat with some girl, and I don't know, just great,
That
good
song
song.
shows how really talented they are, though, Jason, because it wasn't just a rock and roll song, man. It had swing, dude, and that was from Dave. It had that swing, that bop, and the jazz influence from the Van Halen's father, Jan Van Halen, rest in peace. So, it had that other intangible thing, and then in the middle, they do a breakdown with 4-part barbershop harmony. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's all
It was
David Lee
awesome.
Roth. I mean, that's what people don't
I
realize.
can't wait to feel your love tonight.
Yeah.
Woo! It was
That's
awesome.
all David Lee Roth. And people don't realize the friction part of friction, from what I understand, between Dave and
Friction makes sparks.
is Eddie and Alex. They wanted to be heavier. They wanted to be more hard rock. And Dave brought kind of that dance and that vaudeville rock.
But that's exactly what made it. It was the ingredient.
Yeah.
The sum parts were infinitely greater than the individual ingredients, man. It was too much to be ignored.
Those four
man.
guys together.
That
I mean,
friction, that sparks.
Yeah.
That spark is what ignited that blaze.
I mean, the four guys together. I mean, another great example of Dave's huge talent and what he brought. Ice Cream Man. I never have heard a song like that since or before. Who could?
Well, you know what? Then there is Stay Frosty on their reunion album, Different Kind of Truth from 2012.
Yeah, I got right here. Yeah, great album. This album too, I think doesn't
Stay Frosty. Woo!
I mean, you know what a way to kick that album up. I love Tattoo. A lot of people don't like that, but that's another one, just so David Lee Roth,
Yep.
Another one is, if you go back to the Greatest Hits album from '96, I love the new tune they did with Dave, Me Wise Magic. I don't even know what it means, but hey.
I know what it is. It's called, look, I know what this magic thing we have is. I know what this recipe is, and it includes us and no one else, man.
Yeah.
And the song is basically Dave coming in the door for the reunion, basically figuratively saying, look, I know you. I am you, man. We grew up together. We were kids, dude. We were in our first major band together. We grew up together. We conquered the world together.
Yeah.
I know you because I am you. I've been here all along waiting for you to see what I'm talking about. And we shouldn't be without each other because we make magic together. I know what this magic is. Me, wise magic. I'm wise to it. I know what this magic is. I know. Just listen to me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
he's saying. He's reaching out to Ed, going, "Come on, you, Al, Ed, come on, dude. Pay attention to what I'm talking about." Because he was always floating on a different conversational level.
In fact,
So,
yeah,
and just like when he says, a little Zen headed your way,
yeah,
you'll get it halfway down the interstate. What it means is this isn't going to sink in probably till long after I'm gone and this whole thing fizzles out.
yeah,
You're not going to hear what I'm saying. And turned out to be prophetic. And so the second song they wrote seems to me, as a fan,
yeah,
was on the way out, because he was like, look, you can't get this stuff no more.
yeah.
Keep that in mind when we say goodbye. You can't get this stuff no more. That was the chorus line. So the first one was like, hey, all full of hope and like, I know you. I am you. We are each other, dude. We know each other. Let's make magic again. And the second song was, hey, you know what? When I'm gone, you're going to miss me, dude. You ain't getting this stuff anywhere else.
Yeah,
And he was right.
And then what's funny is if you listen to his show, the Roth Show, it's like a podcast Dave does, and he talks kind of like he sounds like he's he's smoking some, but if you listen to it, he's very intelligent. I don't think people realize how. I mean, for example, the last episode was about a trip he took to Haiti years ago, and he's talking about adventures he had with his bodyguard and stuff, and that I don't think I would go to Haiti now. I know better. I'm older. I'm wiser. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but just he spends like 20 minutes, talking about a trip he took, and it's so David Lee Roth. Yeah, it's so David Lee Roth, and and then
well, that's what he would do in between tours. Yeah. He wouldn't go hang out at the Hollywood parties. He would grab a boat and go cruise the Amazon River.
Or even go back to the second solo album he did, Skyscraper, where he's an actual mountain climber.
That was like Paradise. The video for it shows him rappelling.
Yeah, in fact, the reason I brought up his podcast, I was listening to Brother David Roth show, and he was telling a story about, I guess this was a joke. His bodyguard was called Big Ed, and he was saying, he goes, we called Ed Van Halen. We'd call, the joke was we would call
Big
him,
Ed Anderson.
We'd call him Vard because his mother Eddie Van Halen's mother had a heavy accent, and he said she would always call out Vard, Vard, and so we started calling Eddie Van Halen Vard. And you get to hear these little stories that you never heard about, and it's kind of a trip. And then going back to Van Halen 2, probably one of my all-time favorite tracks off that album, probably one of my all-time favorite Van Halen tracks, period, is Dance the Night Away. Let's be honest. How many TV shows have you heard that song? How many movies?
What I'm going to say?
Yeah.
If we're talking about that song, you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, yeah.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. You got to have that cowbell, man. Dance the Night Away is a great classic all-time cowbell song, man. It's a great lyric. It's got a great vocal. I love it. It's just another example of what makes Van Halen great. It's not a typical rock song. The influences are all over the map, and you can see it all over the DNA of that song. And, I love it. I love that song, dude. You're right. There's other songs on that album that I think are really, really good too, and really ferocious, like Light Up the Sky, Wolves at the Door, right? I love that dirty, nasty riff on that, Of course, just like he had Eruption on the first record, which was a blazing, guitar solo and stuff, right? So he goes for the acoustic solo, and he calls it, as you know, Spanish Fly.
Yeah.
And just awesome stuff. And then they had a great cover on the first one with You Really Got Me.
Yeah, let's talk about
a big
that,
hit, a staple to this day.
How many people listening to this don't know that's a cover? They think it's a Van Halen song. I have no idea that the Kinks.
Be honest, people. How many of you thought You Really Got Me was a Van Halen song?
Just like
probably about the same amount of people that think Crossroads was a Cream song written by Eric Clapton.
Yeah. And just like
I said it.
People are going to be shocked when I say this. How many people know but Helter Skelter is not a Motley Crue song. It's a Beatles song.
Right.
That's as
right.
metal
By
as
the
a
way,
Beatles song.
as you know, Crossroads was written by Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
Mr. Robert Johnson. So,
Yeah,
anyways, they had what was it? You Really Got Me on the first record, so I can just hear, you know, somebody at the record label or the band themselves, I don't know, going, "Hey, we had a great hit with a cover on the first record, so let's do another cover." So, what did they do? "You're No Good" by Linda Ronstadt.
And again, that's one of those tunes that it's not an obvious choice. That, you know, as far as, I mean, I'm not a huge Linda Ronstadt fan, so a lot of people.
I thought it was a great song.
Yeah, a lot of people think, once again, it's Van Halen song. Now, talking about more Van Halen covers, let's talk about Diver Down. That was totally a David Lee Roth album too, because Ed was kind of against that. But
I think that, from what I heard, that album is the reason why Ed started building a studio.
Yeah.
Because he was against that. I think he was the kind of guy that would have rather failed with his own music than succeed with somebody else's. So he was like, you know what? If that's how it is, then I'm going to make my own studio. It took him one more album, I think, before it got built. And then by the album 1984, he was like, all right, every Van Halen album is going to be recorded here from now on. Done.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
And then Van Halen broke up the original lineup. Oh, well.
Yeah. I mean, 1984 was like, at the time, their biggest album. And then after the biggest selling album, the band, you know, goes kaput. But I got to be real honest. You know, I remember 1985 hearing David Lee Roth out of the band, and I like a lot of people singing, "Oh my God, Van Halen's over. Who the hell are they going to get to replace David Lee Roth?" Impossible. Right? But
were we all wrong?
I was amazed. I mean,
Red Rocker to the rescue.
I gave it a fair list. I said, "Oh, well, this stuff's not half bad," you know. And it's not David Lee Roth, let's be honest, but it's a different sounding band.
I wish they had named it something different. Yeah. Because it was a different band. Even though there was only one new member, put it this way: Creed, Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
Different band. You know? I think that's, but it is what it is. And I think that as a fan, I was disappointed that Sam didn't play more than seemingly the same three Van Halen or Roth era songs throughout his career.
Well, you know
I think he should have done more to bridge the gap and done, you know, more songs, because he was joining Van Halen. They didn't call it something else. Yeah. He joined Van Halen. So they were doing his songs. So he should have done more for the old school fans. And I think then there would have been a lot less division in the fan base.
I mean, yeah, and you got to remember when the split initially happened, there was bad blood on both sides. They were trashing Dave, and Dave was trashing the guys. And and even when Dave got back Van Halen, let's be honest, he didn't do any Sammy songs. And I think about the only other Dave song.
Well, there's only a couple he could. That's like me in those tribute bands. There's only a few that he could, because he's a baritone. And why sing, you know, in a range that doesn't make sense for you, you know?
Yeah. And you know,
So what were the cover songs that were on there? Pretty Woman, right? By Roy Orbison. That was good stuff. And then let's see, was it Diver Down that had Little Guitars?
Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Dancing in the Streets.
But that album also had Little Guitars.
Yeah, that was actually, the funny thing is,
Little Guitars.
I loved Little Guitars as much as I loved other songs, and that was an original.
I'm in trouble again, and I can't get free.
Yeah. Hey, you got it, my friend.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I love the intro. I love that song. It's awesome. There again, every album had a little weird instrumental thing.
Yeah.
The first one was Eruption. Then you had, and it became a thing for the records, I think. You had Eruption. You had Spanish Fly. You had Cathedral, which sounded like an oboe or something like that, right? And then 1984 had 1984, and it was keyboards, you know.
And that was a big controversy. I've read stories where Ed has told over the years, all the other guys in the band were really against the keyboards.
Where did you stand on that when it came to Van Halen and switching over to a keyboard?
Yeah.
So where did you stand where there was, with that whole keyboard controversy? Were you down with it?
Well, I remember Jump was kind of, first big Van Halen song I heard. And it was all over MTV. I loved it. I was fine with it. I did maybe because I didn't
Well,
really.
I grew up
Yeah.
with a real wide palette.
Yeah.
I was listening to stuff like,
Yeah.
it revolves around a lot of piano, a lot of key stuff. So I had no issue with them putting in some keyboards.
Yeah.
It was just another thing to me of
Their
Van
element.
Halen is Van Halen. Van Halen does what Van Halen wants to do.
And what's interesting is from that album on, they had keyboards and nobody really made a big deal about. And the interesting thing talking about the Sammy Hagar stuff. You had 5150. Who doesn't love that? OUA12 had some good stuff.
Loved it.
And then even this one, Foreign Love, Full Carnal Knowledge, just the title. And I loved how Sammy came up with the title. Well, did you know if you abbreviate it, Foreign Love, Carnal Knowledge spells out.
Yep. I loved it.
That was in all the ads, I mean, even OUA12, what the hell does that mean? They just, we'll just come up with a clever title. We had 5150, the police code in California for the mentally insane. OUA12, that's just another number. It sounds cool. And it rolls off the tongue.
OUA12?
Yeah.
Hey.
And then Balance is kind of interesting because I really love that album. A lot of people like that album.
To me, that sounds like a really dark
That's what
album.
I was going to say. It's a dark album, but it's almost like
you can tell there was tension.
You can hear the band breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear the breakup all over that album.
Yeah, and
that last song they made for the Twister soundtrack, Humans Being, you could tell that was some dark stuff.
You watch the video or just listen to the song. I mean, Sammy looks, he looked over at Eddie. They're looking so pissed off. I don't know if that's an act, but
sunglasses.
You can feel it. Yeah.
Yep. Then they came out in 2012 with an amazing album with David Lee Roth. Ridiculous. All the ways in time. And they came in, and for one, I don't know how you feel.
Yeah.
But obviously it came out later that at least half the album, and hardcore Van Halen fans, we knew it for years because, like for me, I have tons of bootleg Van Halen stuff.
Yeah.
I have tons of bootleg, like I have a DVD or a CD or MP3s by now of every Van Halen tour and every David Lee Roth solo tour. Every Van Halen tour with Dave in it, at least. A lot of bootleg stuff. So Van Halen fans, it's no secret that A Different Kind of Truth, their reunion album in 2012 with David Lee Roth, had a lot of songs that were based off of old Van Halen demos that even predated the first album. And you know what? For me, don't care. All I care about is it sounds like a great Van Halen album. And if Van Halen had never broken up, this would have made a perfect album number 7 to the first 6.
Yeah, I mean, I got that.
I think it stands up in every way because that's how every Van Halen album was made. Every Van Halen album with David Lee Roth featured old demos that came from the first record.
Yeah. Here's the album right here, and let's talk about some of the songs. Tattoo.
I love it.
Tattoo. I love that song. Great way to kick off the album.
I didn't get it at first, but then when I heard it, I was like, "That's great." You don't run out. You walk out. You strut out. It's like the old joke with the two farmers, the two shepherds up on a hill. They're watching their flock,
And Dave doesn't sing like a typical singer. He's singing in his own Dave way, and it just fits him. I
like the fact that they didn't choose a hard rocker, really super fast song to start the album out like you would normally think they would.
Yeah.
They went out for this mid-tempo thing, but it's like the joke with the shepherds on the hill. And he says, "Hey man, how about we run down into town, and pillage all the women? Let's run down, let's grab one, and do our thing, right?" He goes, "No, instead of running down, why don't we walk down and we get everybody?"
Yeah, I could
So
also
that's
see
what I
that.
was thinking.
Yeah,
That album, and starts out with a good strut,
yeah,
and then it starts ripping from there.
yeah. I mean, Tattoo. I could also picture on a David Lee Roth solo album. The next song on here, "She's a Woman." That's kind of a heavier, more modern Van Halen sounding tune. Heavy on the guitars.
Well, She's a Woman. That was part of that became that and a song called Voodoo Queen. Those two songs, I believe, became Mean Street.
Oh wow, wow. And but one tune that I really love on here, probably one of my favorites, is "You and Your Blues." I don't know, it's kind of heavy, kind of
Dude,
bluesy.
I love that. And he said, how many classic song titles can I reference in one song's worth of lyrics?
Yeah, yeah,
Ain't no red house over yonder. No stormy Monday waits for you. Ain't no midnight train to Georgia.
yeah, yeah. There you go.
I
Yeah,
ain't looking for the truth.
I love the video
But I
too.
tell you what I want.
Yeah,
You and your blues. I
I
dude, I
love the
love
video
that
they
stuff.
do. I mean, the breakdown of the song, the video is so cool. You could tell Dave is just loving being back in Van Halen,
Yes. And we were loving it too
and
as
we were loving it
fans.
too.
It was
And
an
then,
amazing record.
yeah, and then what? China Blue. Then you got "Stay Frosty." Chinatown.
Chinatown, right?
Chinatown. Yeah, yeah. Chinatown.
Welcome to Chinatown.
Yeah. Almost sounds like a rock and roll vaudeville song. "Stay Frosty," like you mentioned. I love that because again, it takes me back to Ice Cream Man.
Then
Yeah.
Big River, Blood and Fire was awesome. Although I think Blood and Fire would have been 10 times better with Michael Anthony's high vocals on the chorus. We came through blood and fire. His vocal sound.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've heard stuff live, and I also think I saw an interview with Wolfgang Van Halen that said there was a vocal like that in the background, but Dave didn't want that.
Yeah.
Dave sang his own vocal background for the most part on that. There was a little bit somewhere where they decided to do it anyways. Might have been that song, I don't know. But I think it should have been more prominent, like Mike Anthony's vocals were. Because Wolfgang could sing like that.
Yeah.
Anybody that saw Wolfgang Van Halen perform at the Taylor Hawkins events knows that Wolfgang can sing like Mike Anthony, but he wasn't allowed to on the record.
Oh, sure. And this one, the last thing they did with Dave, this is the final release, the live album, live at Tokyo Dome.
I got mixed feelings about that.
Okay, let's hear that. I want to hear your mixed feelings are.
Well, here's the deal. I think there should have been some retouching.
Okay.
I don't think it should have been left as raw as it was, because I think the vocals could have stood to be more polished.
Okay.
I think that I don't know whose decision it was to leave the vocals untouched, and I know there's a certain amount of, you know what, well, at least we're being honest about it. This is exactly how we sound. If you love it, come see it. If you don't, that's fine, but this is how Van Halen sounds. If you come and see us in concert, it's honest, and for that I can respect it. Okay? But some of the vocals, the mixing, I don't know. Something was, it could have.
I think if you're a fan of a David Lee Roth era, it's a fair representation. You get all your favorite songs on here. Any of the ones?
Oh, dude, I love the album. I love the songs. I think it was a great concert. I've been on that tour. It was awesome.
The only thing that I was disappointed that I think would have made it better, I don't know why they did not think of this. Getting back with David Lee Roth, why the hell would you not, if you're going to put this out, film the concert, put out a DVD with it? From what I understand, they never filmed anything on that tour. Why would you not?
Well, I've seen footage from those shows because I believe that album has stuff from both nights that they played at the Tokyo Dome. They played 2 nights, and I think they recorded both nights. And I've seen footage. There's footage out there.
Probably fan
yeah. They wore white suit.
Yeah.
Or no, excuse me, white shirt, like white button-down shirt, and black vests, I think. And they wore the same for both nights.
Yeah.
The whole band, black pants, white shirt, and a black vest.
Yeah.
I believe it's Van Halen Tokyo Dome, right? And I'm gonna look on the images here, and oh yeah, it was black shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
exactly. That's what it was.
Yeah, Jason, I can't believe it's almost time to wrap this up. But before we do, I'll just end it on this note to say this was a great premiere of the two Jasons. And to quote David Lee Roth in reference to Eddie Van Halen when he passed away, you remember what he said? It's been a long, great journey.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. I'll quote Eddie himself, man. He says, "Just keep playing. Look
Yeah.
out there." Matter of fact, I want anybody to listen to this to Google the words Van Halen, just keep playing. And he just says, just keep playing. That's all there is. Music. Just
Yeah.
keep playing. I'll come
Well,
looking for you.
yeah.
Don't.
This has been the two Jasons. We're going to do this again because it was a lot of fun. So thank you, Jason Lee Beckwith.
Don't forget to hop on
the fun is just
live.com.
getting here. Take care, my friend.